The number one thing I hear from people who are trying to manage their money right is how hard it is for them to actually stick to a budget. They have these great intentions and then their plans get derailed, they overspend, they get discouraged, and now the whole act of budgeting is just stressful. If you can relate with any of this, then today's video is for you because I'm going to give you 15 practical tips to help you actually stick to your budget. I'm Sarah, I'm a certified financial educator, and I created this channel, It's All His, to help people manage God's money, God's way for God's glory, because it all belongs to Him. I want to help you transform your finances faithfully, giving God all the glory along the way, because it all belongs to Him. If that sounds like something that would be helpful and encouraging to you, please consider hitting that subscribe button for new videos every week. All right, my first tip is you want to focus on the why of your budget. Why did you make a budget in the first place? What are the goals that you're trying to hit? For me, my main overarching goal with any budget that I make is that I'm going to glorify God with what He has given me to store, that I'm being faithful and that I'm being obedient. And then within that, there are sub goals. I want to live without debt. I want to save for the future and retirement. I want to pay off my house faster. And I want to model biblical stewardship for my children. So clarifying the why is a great place to start if you're struggling to stick to your budget. My next tip is for you to automate as much as you possibly can. Your giving, the bills you pay, money that you're saving for different things, you're investing, whatever it may be, automation rather than hoping there's money left over to go towards those goals is going to be a game changer when it comes to sticking to the budget that you've created. This next tip is one that has really helped me, and that is look at your budget in smaller pieces. Budget for a shorter stretch of time. A lot of times people will try to make a monthly budget because a lot of our bills and expenses are monthly. I like to do our budget in 2-week chunks because my husband gets paid every 2 weeks. So what I'll do is anytime money comes in, I take that chunk, I look at the time period between then and the next paycheck, and I budget for just that time period. The benefit of this is that you're only having to deal with the bills and expenses that will crop up in that time frame. So your budget is going to be shorter, easier to work with. The other benefit that I find is it's easier to not get so off track when you don't have quite so long a time to cover. If you start to notice that things are kind of teetering, you've overspent, you don't have to wait another 3 weeks before you fix that budget. You know you are going to get things back on track and refocus and start a new budget sooner. And I find that to be a really helpful way to actually stick to the budget. Can you do this budget for 2 weeks? Maybe you even need to make it smaller. Can I do this budget just for 1 week? Look at what you need to budget for just the week. That smaller period of time might just be the ticket to helping you stick to your budget. All right, the next thing you want to do is find the budgeting method that actually works for you. There are a lot of different ways to do a budget. There's different ways to approach the budgeting process. There's different actual ways to put the budget into effect, whether it's pen and paper or software or an app. You're not married to whatever budgeting tool you are currently using. So if it isn't working for you, if you find that you're consistently not sticking to it, try something different. I made a video about some different budgeting methods and approaches. I'll put a card here and it'll also be linked at the bottom of the description box. Maybe check that out just to see if there's another way you could be going about it that might be more effective for you. You're allowed to change your method, I promise. And a lot of times it's probably going to help you be more successful if you do. This next tip is one I wish we would have used when we were really focusing in on setting up a budget, sticking to it, and paying off debt. It's that you need to give yourself some fun money, a little bit of wiggle room, something that you can spend just on whatever you want so that you don't feel deprived and like you just can't spend a penny outside of the budget. I think Dave Ramsey talks about it like it could be a tiny amount. It could be candy bar money. And the amount you can spend, the amount that is wise for you to use as sort of your blow money, your fun money, that really depends on you and your circumstances. But try to make sure that there's some in there, even if it's just for a candy bar. We were so hyper-focused that we didn't allow for any wiggle room for a period of time. And when things got easier and we were paying off debt and we got out of debt, it got a lot harder to spend and enjoy God's blessings because I was so hyper-focused on just sticking to every penny. So I really would encourage you, make sure there's a little bit of that like breathing room, something to kind of let out the tension of your budget so that if you want to just get that cup of coffee or treat yourself to that candy bar, you don't feel bad, you haven't blown the budget, and it doesn't just derail your momentum. And my next tip kind of goes in line with that. Find ways to reward yourself when you stick to the budget. Again, I know that those types of rewards, people think spending money on themselves or getting a massage or something that's gonna cost money, and maybe you don't have that kind of room in your budget. You might have to get a little bit creative. It can even be something very small, something that maybe you've cut back on because you're trying to hit those financial goals, but you allow yourself to splurge. That little tiny bit of splurging, those reward dollars that you spend on yourself are probably going to be a lot less than if you don't give yourself that incentive and you just continue to fail and go over your budget, and you're going to probably spend a lot more that way, if that makes sense. So it's worth it to factor in a little bit of a reward. And a reward doesn't necessarily have to cost you money. Get creative, think about the types of things that make you happy, and find ways to treat yourself to those things inexpensively, but allow yourself some kind of incentive. If that works for you, if incentives will help you hit your goals, this could be a great way to help yourself stick to that budget more effectively. Right, the next thing that can help you stick to your budget is having some accountability. This makes a huge difference. Now, I'm married, so my husband and I, we are each other's accountability buddies. We look at our budget together. We have a budget meeting every 2 weeks. We have a shared budget note in our phone that we utilize so that we can keep an eye on how the spending is going, and we're always on the same page. If you're not married, maybe you can have this be a really good friend, someone at your church, a parent, a mentor, anyone who you know you can go to and trust. Whatever accountability needs to look like for you, sometimes having someone else there to kind of answer to in a loving way is really helpful to stick to those goals, to stop you from making those spending decisions. All right, my next tip to help you stick to your budget is to take things out of your life that are tempting you to overspend. So what that could look like is unsubscribing for a time from social media type things that you see, they pop up and they make you want to buy those clothes or those kitchen gadgets or take that vacation. It could also mean canceling those emails that come in every day that tell you, oh, we're having free shipping, you need to order now. Anything that is prompting you to spend when you know you don't need to spend, if you can cut that out, even if it's just for a little while, can help you get that spending under control, particularly if your overspending is happening in certain areas. And if you're really missing being a subscriber, you could always subscribe to the channel and help us out, helps the algorithm. So click that subscribe button or that like button, or maybe share these tips with someone that you know who needs some budget accountability. Another really key step that you could take to help you stick to your budget is to recognize the types of things that sort of trigger you to overspend, trigger you to break that budget. Maybe it's the end of a really, really long day and you don't feel like cooking, so you DoorDash or go get takeout. Maybe a stressful, overwhelming day at home with little kids is prompting you to hit that Amazon cart at night after you get them to bed. Whatever it might be, whether it's a situation in your life, whether it's a person in your life who is really spendy, or when you get together, you're tempted to want to buy the things that they have, try to just be mindful and aware, what might be causing me? What commonalities do I see before I have a spending spree, before I make those poor decisions that end up breaking my budget? Is there anything that's similar that's happening that I can be mindful of and avoid, or just be aware of? Sometimes just being aware, oh, when I hang out with her, I'm really, really tempted to want to buy the same clothes she's wearing. Just knowing that about yourself and being honest with yourself can go a long way in helping you to make better financial decisions. I love this next tip. I use this all the time, and that is leave things in your online shopping cart for at least 24 hours. I notoriously will throw something in the Amazon cart and then walk away, put my phone down, come back. Maybe I put it in the save for later. I've had this teapot in my save for later on my Amazon cart. It's gone into the cart and back out so many times for the last few months. I don't know, maybe I'll eventually buy it. I'd like to have it, but it's just never really a priority. And it helps to know that if I put something in there and I really do want it, then I will find room in the budget for it. But if I don't really need it, oftentimes it just goes either out or into the save for later. So don't jump right into something that you threw into the cart. Close your phone, close the app, go do something else for a little while, come back the next day and see, do I still really, really want or need that thing? Is that still a good decision? Was I making that purchase impulsively? It can really help you. I know it's helped me a ton, so maybe give that a try. Another tip that can really help you stick to your budget is to have eyes on your budget regularly. I would say at least once a day. Whether it's looking at an app, checking out your cash envelopes to see how much money is left in there, or looking at a spreadsheet that you have taped up to your fridge or in your office. Find a way to just keep your eyes on the plan so that you know how you're doing and you know how you need to adjust, and nothing is ever just kind of in the background where you're unaware of where the money is going or how much you have left to spend. I actually played around on Canva and produced a free expense tracker for you guys to enjoy if you want to. This is not an actual budget. This is just a place for you to go in and enlist all of your expenses. It's got a Bible verse on there and some places to add your goals and some notes that you might want to make. Some people like having the tangible physical item, so it's down in the description below, completely free. I don't even need your email. It's just a PDF. If something like that would help you to really make sure your expenses are listed and you have them all there, feel free to check that out. Just a free gift for you. Because one aspect of not being able to stick to our budgets is unexpected expenses popping up that we forgot to include. So having something like an expense tracker where you take the time to really thoughtfully go through and list all of those expenses, not just the monthly things. There's some things that come up at different time frames. Take a little time, print that out, and just see if listing everything would help you find some items that maybe are causing you to break your budget. My next tip is you can't expect perfection. If there are multiple areas of your budget that you're struggling with, don't try to fix them all and get discouraged. Hone in on one thing. So if you're really struggling to stick to your eating out budget because you hit that coffee shop up more than you should, focus just on that one. Make that your mini goal within the sticking to the budget goal. Do that for a couple of budgets. Even if you're still struggling with some other areas, get that one area under control, have some success and traction in that area. That will motivate you once you get that one done to focus in on those other areas. Sometimes one section at a time can really help you not feel overwhelmed and stressed out about your budget struggles. And another tip is to remember that money is fungible. You can take it from one category and move it over into another category. If something unexpected happens in a month and you use the cash envelope system, you can pull some money out of the food budget and you can put it into another budget where something came up that you didn't anticipate. That type of a situation doesn't have to just blow your whole budget for that period of time. Let that money move around as needed. If you need to eat a little cheaper because you had an unexpected medical bill that popped up or something happened to your car, you can move the money around. Even though you allotted it a certain way when you started the budget, you're allowed to move that around. It's totally okay to do that. Don't let one unexpected thing derail you. You don't have to have a perfect budget every time. I don't think anybody does. I certainly don't. Give yourself some grace, take a deep breath, learn from whatever happened, and start fresh with your new budget. Another thing that will really help you stick to your budget is getting better at saying no. First and foremost to yourself, because we very often find ourselves to be our biggest hang up when it comes to our budget. We need to tell ourselves, no, I don't need to stop there and get food. I have something I can eat at the house. Or I don't need to place that order for that item. I can wait till the next budget and see if it's still really in need. We have to be able to tell ourselves no. But we also need to nicely be able to tell others that we can't do something if it's not in our budget. Or maybe we just need to do something different. If a friend's like, hey, let's go grab lunch, and lunch wasn't in your budget, but you could scrape by a cup of coffee, then say, hey, I can't do lunch, I didn't budget that in, but I can meet you for coffee. Or maybe you have to just say, I'm sorry, I didn't budget that in. Could we plan for next month so that I can put that into my budget? I know it can be a little embarrassing sometimes, but it really shouldn't be. You're doing a really wise thing to have a budget. And I can tell you, I have had experiences in my life where I've said that to people and they've come up to me later and said, you know, you always talk about how stuff's not in the budget. And I kind of want to talk to you about budgeting. It's something I want to do, but I have been struggling with it. It's allowed me to talk about it and help other people. So sometimes it's a great thing if you can just say, hey, can't do it, not in the budget. Don't be ashamed about that. Be proud of the fact that you are trying to be faithful with the money that God has given you, and let that be a witness to other people. In so doing that, you hopefully are pointing others to Him for His glory. And speaking of the Lord, my next tip is seek His help, because you can watch all the videos about how to stick to your budget, or how to make a budget, or how to save money. But if you are not seeking the Lord's help to make those decisions, to have that self-control, the contentment, the fruits of the Spirit that will help you go far in being a wise steward, you're kind of just flailing around. Seek God's help. Seek Him in prayer. Go to His word. Seek wise counsel, but ask God to help you. Lord, I'm making this budget. I'm making it to you. This is your money. Help me manage it well. Help me say no when I have to say no. Help me stick to it. Help me have self-control. God is not just absent from this process. These are His ways of doing money, and He absolutely will help you. So don't hesitate to ask for His help. I start every single budget with prayer. Every single time. That is, I literally have a to-do list for my budget so I don't miss anything. And the number one item on there is pray. I want to start with a heart of gratitude, and then I want to ask God to give me wisdom and self-control as I create this next budget. And then also seek the Lord about sin struggles that might be causing you to break your budget. Are you dealing with discontentment? Maybe some envy, maybe some greed. Figure out with God's help where your heart might be straying, where you might be struggling. Repent, turn to God, and ask Him to help you to grow in sanctification, to kill those sins, and in the process, you will hopefully find that you are a more faithful steward of what he's given you. God convicts us, he helps us, he provides for us. So let's not be foolish and think that we should leave him out of the equation. Always go to God for help, first and foremost. So which of these tips will you be trying to help you stick to your budget? Let me know down in the comments below. And for more tips to make your budget stretch further, check out this video and I will see you over there. Thanks so much for watching.